Good morning and welcome to everybody that's joining us today as we begin this journey following certified compostable food service packaging as we move backwards on its life cycle. Sorry, we had a little delay start. Zoom crashed and we're back on track. So hopefully others are going to be able to join in the next few minutes. This morning, we're going to learn from three amazing and very experienced presenters on how compost made with food scraps and certified compostable food service packaging is used. On behalf of BPI and myself, we're extremely excited to be here with you all and are very grateful to our presenters as we launch this series highlighting successful programs throughout the country. My name is Jorge Montezuma, and I'm the principal consultant for One Organics, a consulting firm focused exclusively on composting and organics recycling, working with public and private partners to develop and improve operations. I've been working with BPI on this series for many months, and I will be serving as the moderator today. On deck for today, we'll start off with a brief background on BPI, then describe the 7-part webinar series, and then jump into our presentations. You're welcome to ask questions on the Q&A chat throughout the webinar, and they may get answered on the chat itself. After the presentations, we'll have a formal Q&A where you can ask questions for one or any of the panelists. Please note that this webinar will be recorded and published online, except for the Q&A part at the end. We plan to wrap things up at the hour, so we'll jump in right now. So now I'm going to pass it to Gigi Gonçalves from the BPI marketing team to tell us more about BPI.
Awesome. Thanks for that introduction, Jorge. As Jorge said, I'm on the marketing team at BPI. I'm the content marketing specialist. My name's Gigi, and I'm just going to give a quick overview of what BPI is and what we do in case you don't already know. We're founded in 1999, so we've been around for about 25 years, and we're the leading authority on compostable products and packaging. So our vision is a world without organic waste, and our mission to achieve that vision is we support the shift to a circular bioeconomy by advancing policy, standards, research, and science-based verification of compostability and biodegradability. I always get that word wrong. But then our core objectives through that mission and vision involve claims, adoption, and policy. So one objective is to advance trusted and scientifically based standards, research, and claims. So that has a lot to do with our certification program. And then adoption, we aim to align and collaborate with stakeholders across the value chain to advance our mission. And then policy. So we work to influence policy that supports a system-based approach to products and materials. And that's a very high-level overview of what our company does, and you can always visit bpiworld.org to learn more. And I will hand it back to Jorge to talk more about the rest of this webinar series.
Thanks, Gigi. Appreciate it. There's also a new section for composters in BPI's website, and if you are interested in doing that, you can look for it. So now we're going to jump into what the journey is going to look like starting this April, taking us all the way into the next few months. We're going to devote single webinars to various portions of the life cycle, working our way backwards. We'll start off today with compost use. Then in May, we're going to move into composting operations, then municipal and private collection programs, then moving into learning the ins and outs of the BPI certification process. And lastly, we have 2 webinars to dive really deep into how certified compostable bioplastics are made, as well as fiber products. And we're going to be wrapping that last one in January of 2026. Throughout this series, we're seeking to highlight successful programs and best management practices that could be used to improve other programs. So now we're going to jump into the first presentation. So we will have first Carla Castagnero from Agrecycle. Then we're going to have Bill Whitley from Spurt Industry, and last but not least, Charles Duprey from Naturcycle. So for everybody of the presenters here, the 5 of us that are not presenting, you're welcome to keep your screen on, your video on, or turn it off. I'm going to turn it off in a second. So Carla is the president of Agrecycle, Pennsylvania's largest source-separated composting operation, headquartered in Pittsburgh. Agrecycle was the first company to be issued a Pennsylvania general permit for composting, allowing organic materials from the residential, municipal, and ag waste streams to be composted together. It was founded in 1991 and has been actively composting food residuals since 1998, and has been a global pioneer in accepting certified compostable biopolymers and resin products since 2008. So long-standing experience here and leadership in this arena. Carla has received degrees from Columbia University and Duquesne University. I think I pronounced that right. Should have practiced that beforehand. She's a recipient of Rodale Institute's Organic Pioneer Award and Major League Baseball's Business Sector Jackie Robinson Award. So thank you, Carla, for presenting today, and I'll move your slides for you.
Thanks, because of course I have a glitch on my end moving slides. I'm just going to present a little bit of background before we jump in to where our compost that's made with certified compostable products is used. We have 2 composting sites in the greater Pittsburgh area. And as Jorge said, we've been accepting food waste since 1998. And my slides are going to be particular because Agrecycle only accepts food waste from the commercial sector. Industrial food processors drop off with us. We collect exclusively from the commercial sector, though we have 3 smaller businesses in Pittsburgh that handle residential and very small coffee houses, and their collection program always drops off at our site because, you know, we have the permit. I do want to give a little background on this to give people perspective that Pennsylvania is very far behind the national curve in encouraging the diversion of food waste from landfills. And we are in the bottom 20% of landfill tipping fees in the United States. So I really cannot charge what my fellow composters charge to drop off. So Agrecycle makes most, if not all, of its profit from selling beautiful finished products, and 85% of them have certified compostable products in it. Okay, next, please. This is the David L. Lawrence Convention Center in Pittsburgh. When it was built, it was the largest gold LEED certified building in the United States. We had been collecting food waste from them. And in 2008, they said to us, we'd like to operate the building a little greener than just using environmentally friendly light bulbs. And they asked me if we would take certified compostable products. We did, you know, Agrecycle is very science oriented. Those who know me know that I'm not emotional. You know, it's a black and white decision. You know, they worked, there was no bad residues in testing. So we started taking certified compostable products in 2008, which is why it's always a little amusing for me to hear people in 2025 still wondering about these products. Next. This is how we collect. Our trucks look like, you know, big yellow garbage trucks. They have special seals. These are the containers that we most often use. They go from 1 cubic yard to 8 cubic yard. And the reason I'm talking in cubic yards is in Pennsylvania, composting is regulated volumetrically, not by weight. We do not have any scales on our trucks or at our facilities. And the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture regulates the sale of compost also by volume. So these are Agrecycle trucks and Agrecycle containers. Next, please. For big events, we also do basic roll-offs when we do, you know, we do the Three Rivers Marathon. We do a lot of special concerts. So we will put a roll-off container there, and our roll-off containers go from 20 to 40 yards. Next. This is PNC Park, the home of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Agrecycle has the longest contract of any composter with any professional sports team in the United States. We have started our 18th year servicing the Pirates. As you can see, the field is at the bottom. Directly above that, I point out that our containers, the 1 and the 2 yards, come on wheels. They are able to put them on different levels to put the food waste and the certified compostable products in, and then they just put them in their industrial elevators that go down to the rotunda area, and you will see the picture in the dark is them putting them out for collection. Our contract with the Pirates is that we must be there the morning after every home game. Next, please.
Carla, I'm gonna switch presentations really quick,
Okay.
if that's okay
Well,
with
there's some nice green stuff showing up in mine that wasn't there originally. So,
you. Okay, we're back
okay.
here. There we go.
Okay. This is a load from the Pirates going to one of our composting sites. I specifically wanted this so you can see this load from a Pirate game is not a lot of food, but it's a lot of compostable products and a lot of compostable fiberboard. However, the long white strip that looks like a roll of paper towels is a product that many of you might be familiar with that we were testing recently, and that is a template, a possible template to change the stickers that are on all produce into compostable ones. And we're doing a little work with the company to see about their degradation in different types of windrows that we have. So that is hopefully to get rid of that little produce sticker, because Agrecycle probably is the proud owner of 3 million of those stickers at this point in time. Next, please. This is just to show you that we do an open windrow composting operation. This is our turner. Next, please. We also collect items that do not have certified compostable products in them. And this is just an example of that. Only about 15% of our windrows are dedicated to this. And those go into the products that we sell as PA certified compostable compost, because the compostable products are not accepted in there. When you have a windrow system, it's very easy to designate which rows have products in them and which rows do not. Next, please. If anybody has ever seen a photograph of Pittsburgh, this is the iconic one. If you've watched a Steeler or a Pirate game, you see this. You see the point because it's where, the three rivers meet. Next. This is Point State Park. It's a very historical park. It has been a piece of property use since the 1700s, and it recently was redone. And you can see Agrecycle compost being applied to top dress this park and to get grass to grow. Just to aerate this park, people told me was basically like aerating concrete. That's how firm the soil is. There are many events there. Over 1 million people a year walk on this. So that is one example of, the compost that was screened finally used in a very high profile spot. Next, please. Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water is probably the most illustrious and well-known residence in the United States. It is a World UNESCO site, and it is in suburban Pittsburgh. Next. And when they recently redid all of the grounds, it was all done with an Agrecycle soil blend that had compost in it that had certified compostable products in it. And if nobody's been there, you should make a point to go because it's as wonderful as it looks. Next, please. We do 5 of the 7 universities that are based in Pittsburgh. I am just showing Carnegie Mellon because if you show, in addition to this campus that diverts food waste to us, basically, if there is a building at CMU that serves food, they have an Agrecycle container. They have 9 containers on this campus now, and their grounds crew uses the finished product. However, they were one of the first people that hired us to do a soil remediation project. If you can go to the next slide, please. Yes. In the middle is what Pittsburgh looked like in, my grandparents' generation. CMU took over an old steel mill site, and it had had about 140 years of soil contamination that we tilled Agrecycle compost in for them to test a robotic lawnmower, and we got grass to grow in 13 weeks. It was a wonderful thing. Now, if you admit you photoshopped, it's okay, right? At the time I took the picture, it's the real lawn, but they wouldn't let me use their actual robotic lawnmower because it was still proprietary. So I just photoshopped one in. This isn't the real one. So I just want to be clear about that. Next. We don't want to give one school preference over another. This is the magnificent baseball field for Pitt, the University of Pittsburgh. They also divert to us. They now have 16 containers on their campus, diverting food waste and certified products. And CMU also has certified products going. And the contractor who built the new baseball field, Agrecycle Compost was integral to the soil blend they used to create the field. Next, please. And I'm going to finish with this one. This is the Botanic Garden in Pittsburgh, who diverts not only food waste to us, but last year they converted to all certified organic potting pots. So everything now that is planted for one of the great seasonal shows is in a certified compostable pot that we also accept from them. And this is my last slide, and I saved it for last because it was the prettiest. And I'll be happy to answer any questions when we get to that part of our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carla. That was awesome. I love all those projects. I'm gonna stop sharing right now, and Bill, you're up next, so you can share your screen and let me introduce you. So, I didn't mention this in the beginning, but we've got two composters, Carla and Bill. And then we also have Charles, who will present after Bill, who utilizes compost and creates soil blends. So again, we're focusing on compost use on this webinar, and the really how this is coming together nicely is Carla and Bill. Their operations utilize turned windrows to make compost. In the webinar in May, we're going to learn about ASP, aerated static pile composting methods to process organic waste materials. So Bill Whitley. Bill's the president of Spurt Industries, a commercial composting business in Metro Detroit, and an equity partner in My Green Michigan, a food waste hauling business with a service area that covers all of southern Lower Michigan. Bill has always been passionate about the Great Lakes, which drives a lot of his efforts to protect their natural resources. He's an engineer from the University of Michigan that has dedicated almost a decade of his life to finding alternative uses for organic waste and manufacturing high-quality compost and compost-based products. As part of his efforts to modernize waste management in the state, he's been very active in different groups. He sits on the Governor Solid Waste and Recycling Advisors Group, the Executive Committee of the Michigan Organics Council, Board of Directors for the Michigan Recycling Coalition, and is the President of Composting Council of Michigan. He also founded the program Landscape for the Lakes in 2018, a proposal to preserve the Great Lakes, protect tourism in Michigan, and drive citizens and contractors to use best practices that reduce stormwater runoff and pollution in Michigan. So thank you so much, Bill, for presenting today, and I'll pass it off to you.
Thank you, Jorge. And yeah, after all of those groups, somewhere in the middle, after that, we need to find time to make some compost as well. So we'll try to focus a little bit on that today. Jorge mentioned we're focused in Metro Detroit. We operate 2 sites now within Metro Detroit. Between the 2 sites, about 40 acres, and we will process about 200,000 cubic yards of organic materials this year, with over 15 million pounds of that being food scraps. We in Michigan also, we get to share with Carla as some of the lowest tip fees in the nation. You can put stuff in a landfill here for about 18 bucks a ton. And so we also have to focus on producing high quality soils and to make a living based on producing high quality soil on the back end. But there's not enough money on the front side for those of us in Michigan to make a living off of that. As Jorge also mentioned, I'm a partner in My Green Michigan, which is a food scraps hauling business. We handle at Spurt all of the Metro Detroit work. My partners in that business own Hammond Farms Landscape Supply in Lansing. They cover Lansing, Jackson, Grand Rapids, and Kalamazoo metro areas. So if you ever met anybody from Michigan, they'll hold their hand up and show you where in Michigan we live, and we broadly say we cover from the knuckles down between the 2 of us, and then the material, the organic waste, the food waste will get hauled back to the closest compost site and turned into STA certified compost. We collect in a variety of containers, as does Carla, right? So we do a lot in 32 and primarily 64-gallon carts. We're single stream. We take all BPI certified compostable products. I purchased Spurt in 2016, and collecting food scraps was not new for Spurt at that time. I don't know what the first year was, but we're well over a decade into it. And I, like Carla, I'm surprised when I hear folks that say that the products don't work for them, because they have worked great for us, and they've helped us collect more food and produce more and better compost. So we do carts, we do dumpster service as well, open top 20, 30-yard roll-off containers. We do commercial collection, as like Carla does. We also manage municipal drop-off programs around the state, where we will put carts or containers around a municipality. Residents can bring their food waste to those bins, and then we'll collect from the bins. We don't do any direct residential collection. So we've got automated side load collection trucks, as well as the roll-off dumpsters for collection. We feel like one of the reasons that we've been successful in this is because we are composters and haulers. So we are the hauler for somewhere north of 90% of the food that comes into our compost sites. And that allows us to really keep an eye on what comes into the sites and to do the contamination checks. The same drivers that collect food waste in the morning may be in a different truck delivering compost to a certified organic farm in the afternoon. So everybody on our team is really bought in to making sure that we get clean feedstock on the front end. We've done a number of large scale commercial jobs along the lines of what Carla talked about. You know, some stormwater jobs, roadside projects, bioswales, side of the expressway, rain garden, municipal projects, cityscapes. Carla did a great job with pictures and a description of projects like that. And so I'll mostly leave that to her and talk about some of the other work that we do. But that's certainly a big part of our business as well. And a lot of the volume moves into projects like that. But we've diversified beyond that as well. So, you know, one of the things we like to do is close the loop. Carla talked about a couple universities where they collect and take soil back. We love to do the same. You know, one organization that we do that with is the Detroit Zoo. And we're integrated with the landscaping group there for all of the landscape debris, but also with their food services. We collect the food waste from the restaurants. They have a digester on site. We'll take some of the product, the digestate that comes out of their anaerobic digester, and then they are users of compost and our compost amended soils around the zoo. We also do a lot of direct residential delivery. So we'll do residential delivery across all Metro Detroit, as low as 3 cubic yards. You know, we can't move the same volume this way as we do on some of the big commercial jobs, but there's a different price point that you can get, you know, when you're into the direct residential delivery. So that's something that we started doing in 2020. In the COVID year, we were looking for ways to generate some more revenue. We started with a dump trailer behind my pickup truck, and I was the driver at that time. And you know, now we've got a couple of trucks out on the road every day doing residential as well as landscaper delivery around town. And we've certainly found that those customers, the residential customers, when you can tell them that you sell a certified finished product and that you're using certified compostable products, that gives them a lot of confidence and a lot of belief and trust in your product. And people love to hear that you have food in the product, and the acceptance of the products has certainly helped us to increase the amount of food that we're able to capture at the site. We also sell our compost into farms. I mentioned earlier that we've got drivers that'll collect in the morning and deliver to farms in the afternoon. My wife, Adriana, does most of the sales and marketing for the finished product for us. And I don't know, probably 5 years ago, she says, well, we're going to start selling to farms. And I, at the time, I didn't believe in that market. I didn't think that we were going to find farmers willing to pay for high quality compost. I was wrong. She was right. There are now something like 35 farms across Metro Detroit that grow their food in Spurt compost, sold at a variety of scales, farmers markets, CSA, I wouldn't say that we do a lot in large scale commercial ag. It's mostly smaller, high-end producers, including certified organic producers. Despite the fact that we do not produce an OMRI listed compost, we have been able to work with certifying bodies, and we have certified organic farms that can use our SDA certified compost with BPI certified compostable products in it. We've had great success there directly selling into that market, but it's also been a nice feather in our cap, speaking with all of the rest of our customers. And when someone starts to ask about the quality of your compost and what's in it, and is it going to grow my grass, or is it going to grow my flowers? And when you can say, well, you know, here's 4 or 5 certified organic farms that are growing their food in our compost, they base their livelihood off of what they grow in our compost. That is something that has been a great feather in our cap that has shown dividends well outside of just the farm market. We also try to give back across the community. So we donate compost back to groups that are growing food to try to address food insecurity around Metro Detroit. A few of them listed there yet: Ezra, Farm City Detroit, Cadillac Urban Gardens. We believe in getting that compost back out to that use. You know, that's the highest and best use, is to grow food and to feed people. So we try to give compost back for that, as well as use it as a way to bring the community in. So we're very involved with our local schools, sponsoring events at the local schools, and bringing students through for tours. So we host this picture in the upper left. We host the local middle school every year on Earth Day. They bring something like 200 sixth graders through the compost yard. We show them the equipment. We go through, this is food and this is yard waste in the beginning, and here's a bucket of compost at the end, and you know, we turn this into that. We show them compostable products, and then they get a lunch on that day served on compostable plates, compostable cups, and then we collect that, and then that goes back into the compost piles to try to get that next generation you know, aware and engaged and involved and interested in making compost, and in making compost with food and with compostable products. So that's kind of what I have for today. Jorge, I'll turn it back to you to hand out to Charles there, and on some of the large scale stuff that we do with guys like him.
Great. Thanks, Bill. That was awesome. Yeah, I appreciate all the awesome pictures as well. And I feel like composting is one of the few manufacturing processes where people can come and see the full cycle of products. And what you mentioned there at the end just exemplifies that you had a lunch, and then, you know, the residuals can just go back in the process, so that they can create some compost and be able to be used locally. So thanks again. So now I'm going to introduce Charles. He's going to be our third presenter here today, and then after this, we're gonna jump into some Q&A. So Charles Duprey is the founder and president of Naturcycle, as well as a leading expert on compost marketing and end uses. Drawing from nearly 2 decades of personal experience and knowledge of the industry, his firm is focused on the sales and marketing of compost and engineered soils in the northeastern U.S. Working with nearly a dozen private and municipal composters, Naturcycle provides material for landscapers, construction projects, and retail use throughout the region, and operates 3 strategically located soil blending facilities. He consults on the beneficial reuse of organics, engineered soil applications, and stormwater management projects all around the country. He has helped develop and supply some of the largest green roof and engineered soil projects in the Northeast. He also conducts professional development sessions on compost use in green infrastructure for members of the ASLA, for those of you that know that, the American Society of Landscape Architects, as part of the association's continuing education program. Charles is currently the vice chair of the CREF, the Compost Research and Education Foundation Board of Trustees, and previously served as the vice chair of the Market Development Committee of the USCC, the United States Composting Council. He's also the chair of the Seal of Testing Assurance Program Advisory Committee, which Bill mentioned that his compost is part of, or has that certification. And that committee oversees the USCC's nationwide compost testing and disclosure program. He has both a BS and a BA from Syracuse University and resides in central New York. So thanks again, Charles, for presenting today, and I'll pass off the mic to you.
Yeah, thank you, Jorge. I appreciate your time today, everyone. And as vice chair of the Compost and Research Education Foundation, we really appreciate all the hard work that BPI does in the compostable world and all the different partnerships we've had with them related to like our compostable field testing program, things along those lines. So we're actually currently working on a kind of event-based project with Spurt, utilizing their food waste-based compost, or has a component to it for a large green roof in the Dearborn, Michigan area. That's part of a new Ford complex. So, utilizing compost with compostables in it is a very viable option. There's some additional benefits, potentially even from the nutrient level and some of the other, critical factors from a compost standpoint when it comes to, product quality. So Naturcycle, as Jorge mentioned, kind of a quick overview of our company. We're kind of Northeast focused. We're a little bit different than what Carla and Bill are doing, in the sense that we're not operating compost facilities, but we're working with municipal and private composters to optimize their facilities, to market and utilize their own materials. And then a lot of that material we sell either into the general market for landscape construction, DOT type work, or we utilize a large percentage in-house for a variety of specialty soil manufacturing. So check us out later on Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Next, please. So we've kind of glossed over it a little bit today, but if everyone's kind of familiar with what compost is, it's a humusy rich soil amendment that's made by a controlled biological decomposition of organic materials. The key takeaway here is that that's a controlled process, like Carla and Bill are describing. There's time and temperature involved, some way to add and continue the oxygen levels and maintain the process. It can be made from anything organic, and this is organic as from the earth once alive, not, a product on the shelf at Whole Foods. So food scraps, biosolids, animal manures, animal remains, anything like that are all potentially compostable, especially something like a compostable product, which is kind of made from all those different inputs. So next. So I'm going to focus briefly on a couple of projects where we utilized some compost that contained compostables. An interesting one we did about 3 years ago now was the Javits Convention Center had a large expansion, and we utilized some of the Department of Sanitation's food scrap compost made on Staten Island that accepts a wide variety of compostables. They use a Tiger processing unit, depackaging unit, and then they windrow compost materials, very similar to what everyone was describing today, in what we call a green roof media. So if you're not familiar, very briefly, anything that's not soil from the earth, a naturally occurring thing, is a media in a soil science stance. So a potting mix that you might buy at the store, or what I'm making to put on a structure, is technically considered a media. It's a specialized blend made of lightweight aggregate, sand, and usually a really premium compost based around European concepts called the FLL. Next, please. So, very briefly, at least in our analysis and some of the things I'm looking for, when we look at using potentially a compost that has food scraps and compostables in it, it tends to have a higher nutrient level, especially compared to longleaf compost, at least in my region in the Northeast, which from a plant standpoint can be, very beneficial. But enrolling it in something like the STA program provides me the data and testing that I need on a regular basis to kind of manage the inclusion rate properly. You could potentially have some higher salt levels, but if you're familiar with soluble salts, it's a measure in a soils analysis standpoint of all salts in a material or soil in this example, or soilless media. And there are quote unquote good salts and bad salts. That's far oversimplifying it. But all fertilizers are a form of salt. So nutrients plant needs are often in a form of a salt, but there are also negative salts like sodium chloride that would be negative for plants. So just purely going by something's EC ratio, EC measure is not, a good enough way to understand that material. At Naturcycle, we tend to focus on the right compost for the right application. Next. So this is kind of those components of a green roof media, just kind of showing you, sand, what a lightweight aggregate might look like, and then, one compost facility we deal with in the Northeast. Next, please. So very briefly, kind of looking again at the visuals. If you're not familiar, in the lower Manhattan area, there's a convention center, a very large convention center, existing building called the Javits Convention Center, that had a large addition done in 2018 through like 2020. And part of that addition is a large rooftop farm the blend that ended up going in this farm, that brown thing in the corner, we'll see in a second, contained a portion of Department of Sanitation compost made on Staten Island that includes compostables. Next, please. So this is kind of an overview. You can kind of see in the bottom of the picture there, that brown area is the 1 acre urban farm that utilized that partially some of that Department of Sanitation compost. So it's unlike other applications where you might use compost. This is designed to be a nutrient-rich example where they're growing crops in a high rotation, food crops for the use in the center and distribution, whatever they don't use to the public, like food banks. Next photo, please. So a little different than more of a standard media or what you might utilize other compost for. You wanted a more rich, free nutrient type blend that could really enhance this type of row crop, rotation crop scenario. So a lower organic matter, lower nutrient compost wouldn't be a good fit for this. And that would likely be one that doesn't contain compostables or any kind of food scrap related material. Next, please. So just kind of a quick visual of what that looks like, but they're growing row crops of different things. I believe these are carrots, different leafy greens, things like that. There's about 18 inches of soilless media on this site. Next, please. So again, just kind of what that looks like, but this is potentially what you could do with a well-made, stable, finished food scrap-based compost that contains compostables. Next, please. So there you go, kind of a quick overview and look at a project. Again, we're currently working on a similar type application, not for food crops, but in Ford, Dearborn area. And with a well-made, stable, finished compost, you can achieve these high-quality results, including compostables as part of that mix. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Great, thanks, Charles. All right, so for the sake of the recording, I'm just gonna wrap up this part, and then we're going to move into the Q&A. So I just want to thank you all for presenting today. As we can see compost being made from food scraps and certified compostable food service packaging can be used in a variety of applications, from farms to urban applications, and a lot of places in between. So it's super exciting to see all of that. Please keep following this journey as we dive through the process, the life cycle of the packaging, as we move from compost use through how those materials, the certified compostable bioplastics and fibers, are made later this year. There's a QR code here. Feel free to register for the next one so you keep up with any updates, and hopefully we will see everybody in May. So Gigi, now I'm going to move into the Q&A session, so feel free to stop that recording if you would like. So thank you all again.